In this video I would like to illustrate to you, by means of an example, how to calculate derivatives of inverse functions, and in particular we shall consider the function y equals sine of x, okay? Very well famous sinusoid. So it's a function of this form, starts at 0 when x is equal to 0, and then it goes all the way up to 1 at pi over 2, becomes 0 again at pi, minus 1 at 3 pi over 2, and then it becomes 0 again at 2 pi. And also take into consideration the fact that this is a periodic function, so it continues all the way from minus infinity to plus infinity. It never stops. When we consider the inverse function, in particular, some people call it the arc sine, and some other people call it the inverse sine. Sometimes it can be called like arc sine of y equals x. If we take the inverse in both sides, we get arc sine of y equals x, and I will call it probably in this way. I'm used to doing this, but some people call it like sine inverse y equals x. So okay, maybe I will choose this one because it's probably more intuitive, but some people use this kind of notation. So let's revisit a little bit inverse function, and in particular, when I say y equals sine of x, okay, I can give you a value of x, and then you will give me, if it is a function, just one value of y. For every value of x, we only give one value of y. You just call a one value randomly, and I will give you precisely just one value of y. But if I give you, for example, a value of y, which is what we do here, right? For the inverse function here or here, if I say, okay, I give you a value of y, can you give me just one value of x? If so, the function is bijective. But as you can see, if I start here on the y-axis and I move horizontally, I can cross this one. I cross the function more than once. So it's here, 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 and so on and so forth. There are infinite number of points in the case of the sinusoid, and if I go here, for instance, there's nothing, there's no cross. So the domain of the inverse function obviously will lie between minus 1 and 1. So this is the domain of the inverse function, whereas the domain of the function is the entire real axis, because I can define the function everywhere on the x-axis, but I cannot do so on the y-axis. If I define the inverse function, the domain of the inverse function lies between minus 1 and 1. Okay, so if I want to plot the inverse function, I can just plot it between minus 1 and 1. Okay, so I can plot x equals sine inverse of y, or inverse sine of y, but I can also call it y equals sine inverse of x, so it doesn't really matter what I call x and what I call y. In this case, if I use this nomenclature here, I should call the x-axis y and the y-axis x. So it's not really intuitive and it can be confusing. So let me consider this function here, which is the inverse function, but I will call the ordinates y and the abscissa x. We will use the same notation to avoid any confusion. And in the case of the inverse function, what we do in general is to try to constrain our function in such a way that we only have one value for every value of y. So this is what's usually done. And in particular, if we limit our sine function to the interval which goes from minus pi over 2 to pi over 2, take a look at the interval here. If I take just this piece of the function, and I say, okay, give me a value of y between minus 1 and 1, because that's the domain of the function. And okay, I choose this one. How many values do I cross? I cross just one value, which is this one, right? Because I cannot consider this or this or this or this, because I'm just considering this portion of my function. This is the portion that I'm considering. Then my inverse function, I can simply read it from this plot here by rotating my plot, and I should actually also reverse it from left to right. This function, if I reverse it, okay, I should say sine of y equals x. Okay, so let's try not to get confused, because it's very easy here. If my x is equal to minus 1, then sine of y should give me minus 1. And that value of y is minus pi over 2. Remember that we are constraining ourselves in this interval here. In this case, the x here is just my y. So I have minus pi over 2 here. Okay? I start from here. When x is equal to -1, sine of y must give me -1, and y should give me minus pi over 2, because sine of minus pi over 2 is equal to -1. Whereas here I have pi over 2 in 1. So it's minus pi over 2 here, and pi over 2 right there. And then we know that we have a sinusoidal function, and the function does something like this. I will not be very precise. I'm drawing a sketch of the function, just to give you the idea of how to invert a function. It's like the same plot we have essentially right here, but it's a matter of properly rotating this graph in order to match this one. Anyway, let's try to calculate the derivative of the inverse function. We will consider this particular function, but these rules can be applied to any inverse that I want to calculate. So we want the derivative with respect to x of sine inverse of x. How can we do this? Okay, I know that sine inverse of x is equal to y, so I have to take the derivative of y with respect to x. Or an easier way to calculate the derivative is to consider, okay, I have this law here, but this law implies this one, so I can use this one to calculate the inverse. I will show you how to do this from here. In particular, if we differentiate this expression with respect to y, what do we get? I want d sine y over dy equals dx over dy. We are differentiating both of the sides with respect to y. So I can do this. The derivative of sine of y is cosine of y equal to dx over dy. Remember that y lies in the range minus pi over 2 and pi over 2, and x in the range -1 to 1. We want the derivative of y with respect to x. So if I simply invert these two relations, I get dy over dx equals 1 over cosine of y. Okay, so this is a step forward, because y is equal to sine inverse of x. So I can write it like this, and this is equal to 1 over cosine of y, but y is a function of x, so we have to express y as a function of x. How can we do that? Cosine of y is equal to the square root of 1 minus sine squared, right? This comes from the very well-known formula cosine squared of y plus sine squared of y equals 1. In general, when we take the square root, we should put either a plus or a minus sign here. But we should take the plus, because remember that y lies in the range minus pi over 2 and pi over 2. And in that range, the cosine is positive. So we have to take the plus sign. Okay, this is the formula. And then from here, we get cosine of y equals plus square root of 1 minus sine squared of y, but sine of y, take a look, is equal to x, so it's 1 minus x squared. So I will substitute it there, and I get d sine inverse of x over dx equal to 1 over square root of 1 minus x squared. And this is our formula. You can do a similar exercise to compute the derivative of not the inverse sine, but the inverse cosine of x equals y. Okay, and this is a very similar exercise. You get to a very similar formula. So I hope that I managed to get the message across of how to take derivatives of inverse functions, and see you in the next video.